With training camp quickly approaching, I'm going to talk about some potential free agents the Dolphins could bring in before the start of training camp. What is up, Finn fans? Not talking about Dalvin Cook today. Won't be giving you any updates or anything like that. Yeah, for the people who are like, oh, God. That's it. That's all I got for you. What I gave you yesterday, that's it. Until he signs or until he visits, that's all I got. So, it's all right. It's like the Vic Fangio situation. If you guys remember the Vic Fangio situation, oh, the Dolphins are going to sign him. Oh, they're not going to sign him. He's visiting with other people. Oh, my God, this. Oh, my God, that. And then all of a sudden he signed with the Dolphins. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. But yeah, today there's a few free agents that I wrote down that I would like the Dolphins to go after. We're going to discuss that. Discuss why the Dolphins potentially should add some more free agents. I think they're like at the cap max when it comes to the roster cap, 90 players. So if they do that, they'd have to move some players off the roster. So, but before we jump into that, I do have to shout out a new patron, and that is Christina Gonzalez. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon. You have no idea how much it means to me that you join the Patreon, and to the members who join the membership. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much for doing that. But let's jump into this. So right now, the Miami Dolphins, if I look at the team as a whole, the only places that really worry me, obviously the offensive line, but again, I do have an offensive lineman on here, but to me, it doesn't really seem like they're gonna add another offensive lineman because I feel like they would have done it by now. Could they be, keeping, tabs on certain offensive linemen and kind of looking at how things are going and wait and see how their guys play out? Possibly. But again, a lot of people are like, why, we should focus on the offensive line and the defense and this and that. But I'm tired of being on that crusade. So I got a name on here, but I'm tired of being on the crusade of that they should have. How many names did I give you guys? And at how, the prices that they re-signed and all that stuff. So, but besides offensive line, like defensive tackle, Raekwon Davis, I love the draft pick and I think he has a ton of talent, but he hasn't shown it. Middle linebacker, I love Long Jr., but there's no depth there, and we all know how we are with injury history and kind of safety. But I didn't write a safety there. So let's just jump into this, right? Dalton Risner, guard, was with the Broncos. He's still available. Will the Dolphins sign him? Probably not. Like I said, they seem to be very happy or content with what they have, especially if they can bring back Connor Williams, get him that contract extension he wants, and get him back in before training camp starts. For the vets, they have to report on the 25th of July. But supposedly, again, Liam Eichenberg's doing better than, at this point of Connor Williams' transition, Liam Eichenberg is doing better at center. Isaiah Wynn is playing left guard. You have Austin Jackson at right tackle, and then Teron Armstead and Robert Hunt seems to be, as of right now, your starting offensive line. Obviously, Connor Williams, we can get him back. And, Austin Jackson worries me at right tackle. And again, that's the next video. Monday or Tuesday is going to be the breakdown of the offensive line. I'll go more into depth with all this stuff. But I like that he's getting into shape. He's slimmed down. He's really taking this seriously, because if he wants a contract and if he wants to stay with the team, he has to show he can play right tackle. So, but Dalton Risner is the guy that's out there, and he's still out there, which means, he might be wanting more money than he is being offered, but possibility, slim possibility, like 3% of a chance. But then you have like defensive tackle, and I keep hearing the name Akeem Hicks. Now, he's a name I keep popping up. You know, they don't have John Jenkins anymore. They always had him, that vet, you know, defensive tackle that would come in and help in that rotation with Christian Wilkins and with Davis. John Jenkins would come in, and there'd be that rotation at defensive tackle, but he's gone. He signed with another team. The Dolphins let him move on. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in a defensive tackle. And there's some out there, like Ndamukong Suh's still out there, but I was just about to say, I doubt he'd come to Miami, but if I'm being honest with you, if I'm being 100% with you, he went to Tampa, won a ring. Then he went to LA to the Rams, won a ring. He might think to himself, hey, Miami's on the cusp. They just need the pieces. Maybe he does come back to the Miami. I doubt it, but again, you kind of see the trajectory that he's going on. Maybe, but it seems like Akeem Hicks or that type of veteran defensive tackle that can be in that rotation and help with the depth there seems to be possibly a guy that the Dolphins might be targeting. And again, we'll get to the defensive side and start talking about the DTs, and I'll show you the depth, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, ugh. But that's a possibility. And then for me, middle linebacker, right? You have Anthony Barr still out there. That's a possibility, but I don't know. I don't know if he really fits the scheme, but you do have Quan Alexander out there still. And those, possibility. Again, I'm going to make a video on this, or, when I break down the position. But middle linebacker to me has been a problem with this defense for years on years on years. Since when Joey Porter was with us, the middle linebackers were pretty good. Even when Junior was with us for that year, middle linebackers were pretty good. I didn't hate when we had Channing Crowder, but it's like it really hasn't been that solidified, and we really didn't have that stud at middle linebacker since Zach Thomas, where we could really rely on him to be a thumper but also drop back into coverage. Even though I'm not saying Zach Thomas was the best coverage linebacker, but middle linebacker's a problem. Now, we have Jerome Baker and we have David Long Jr., but you have like Duke Riley behind him, and then you have Tyndall, who hopefully, again, he was a third-round pick. He was our first pick, so a lot of people expected him to get on the field, but not remember that he's a third-round pick. Same thing with Eric Uzukoma, who everyone's like, why isn't he getting on the field? Why isn't he getting on the field? Because Dolphin fans, he's our second overall pick, but he was a fourth-rounder. That's why he didn't make it on the field, because he had so many players ahead of him. It's just middle linebacker. It had some depth there. Again, Quan Alexander or that type, or, I don't even know if Anthony Barr would really fit this defense, but like that type, just get some more depth there and add a player there. Now, if you notice, I don't have a long list. That's the end of my list. I don't have a long list. Possibly a safety, but again, they from what I'm seeing, they have Trill Williams kind of being in that safety role, and they have a big rotation at safety. I'm good at corner. I think we're very deep at corner. I think we're very deep at wide receiver. Running back. I'm not going to talk about that. Quarterback, I don't like our backups, but they're not going to go out and get a backup now. So to me, the area that the Dolphins really do need to possibly add some depth is defensive tackle and middle linebacker, and then obviously the offensive line. But again, that's like banging your head against the wall and expecting something different to happen. I'm not doing it anymore. But comment below, what areas do you think, right? I know a lot of you guys are going to say offensive line. I know a lot of you guys are going to say right tackle and all that stuff. But try to think outside the box. Where? And if you agree with me on defensive tackle, linebacker, and offensive line, give me a name. But you also got to realize at this point in the season or the off season, you're not paying these guys above $6 million, because there's a reason you're still a free agent, right? Like some guys like Hopkins and, some of these guys, they're free agent for obvious other reasons, but there's a reason. So comment below. Let me know. And I'm going to get to one of you guys' comments of the day. This comment comes from Scott, and he says, comment of the day, Doug, with Smythe being the number one guy and not living in Gesicki's shadow this year, do you think he could take the opportunity for a breakout year? I think Gesicki, rewind, I think Smythe could have a solid year. I really associate, like, when I think of Durham Smythe, I think of Anthony Fasano. I'm going to look up Anthony Fasano's stats when he was with the Dolphins in 2008, because he was kind of utilized the way I liked him. Anthony Fasano was with the Dolphins for a while. I just realized that from 2008 until 2012, he was with the Dolphins, and then he came back in 2017. I liked Anthony Fasano. So Anthony Fasano in 2008 played 16 games. He was targeted 53 times. He caught 34 receptions, 454 yards, 7 touchdowns. It was his best year when it came to everything. Now, his most receiving yards was 2010 when he had 528 yards. But touchdowns, it was his best year. And not receptions, though. I could see that for Durham Smythe, right? You know, he's not going to put up flashy numbers. He's going to be a red zone target again, but he's not going to have the reception skills and, you know, the aggressive catching skills as Mike Gesicki, but I think he's going to be solid. I think Sorbert can come in and do that. People underestimate Sorbert too. A lot of people see him and think like, oh, it's just another blocking, blah blah blah. Go look, when he came out of college, that was one of his knocks, is he wasn't good at blocking. He's a guy who can get up there. And then again, we have Tanner Connor, we have Higgins, we have these guys who are wide receivers, converts, that could possibly get up there and get the ball. So I think kind of like the running back position, the tight end position might be a running back, might be a committee type situation. But that's a good question. And I think what I loved about Smythe and Gesicki's friendship, they both were drafted the same year. Again, we drafted 2 different tight ends instead of taking Godert, I think is his name, who was both of them put together. But they had that camaraderie. So when like Smythe would catch a touchdown, if you watch one of the mic'd ups, Gesicki would come running down the sideline to celebrate with them. So I do think he's going to get more targets. He'll be on the field more. He'll be used on play action rollouts, kind of how Ingold was used, even when he had a broken hand and he had a cast on his hand. But I do think you're going to see a lot of Smythe and Sorbert, especially if there's a big wing formation. And what a big wing formation is you got 5 offensive linemen, but you get the 2 tight ends. That's why I kind of, you know, you look at your offensive line, and it normally looks like this, and then you kind of add the extra tight ends. It kind of looks like a wing, big wing formation. Or an I formation, and instead of having a full back there, you could put one of the tight ends. Or you can have 2 I formation with 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, single back. There's a lot of formations, and I do think we'll see a lot of all of this stuff. But thank you for the comment. I appreciate that. Again, if you want to be part of Comment of the Day, leave a comment below saying Comment of the Day, and I'll find it. Or you can send me a video asking your Comment of the Day in the email linked below. But other than that, I will see you guys on Monday. Tuesday is 4th of July, but I will make a video on Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. And again, if something breaks over the weekend, I will make a video on that too. But I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. If you're celebrating the 4th of July this weekend, be safe, please. And if you're lighting off fireworks, please be careful. Please be careful. And I'll see you guys Monday. But like usual, stay classy. FN's up.